Take your mind into the wonderful world of physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual wellness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kennetic Hour. Conversations with you and guests. With your host, Kennon, Wesley, Mason. That's me. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Kennetic Hour. I am Kennon Wesley Mason, your host, and I want to thank you and welcome you all. I appreciate all of you for your viewership. For anyone that's new to the Kennetic Hour, make sure to subscribe, click thumbs up as always, and leave your comment. It's always appreciated to hear your feedback on the show, and I do the best that I can to make sure that I bring you the very best in talk. I would say talk radio, but in this era, I guess we know it as podcasting. So I thank you for taking the time out to share your presence with me here on the Kennetic Hour. What I want to do is continue, this is part 3 of a 3-part episode, going into my background, how I got to this point here of creating the Kennetic Hour. I left off with my time at Aim to Purpose, the radio show, which I co-hosted with my mother, Louise Hicks, from 2016, from July of 2014 to late 2016, October or November of 2016. And it was a great experience. We talked to several guests over the course of over those 2.5, almost nearly 3 years. Oh gosh, I could name so many names. But a few that stand out for me, a few guests that we did have that stand out for me. One was the legendary actor, producer, director. He's a legend in Hollywood. His name is Bill Duke. He came into the studio. We actually broadcast from Global Voice Broadcasting, right across from Universal Studios here in California, Southern California. And he came into the studio. He and my mom met at an event that they both attended. And he was gracious enough to take the time to come in and give us his words of wisdom. And he's brilliant. So I want to thank him for taking that time to do that for us. Another guest that we had on was Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn from a documentary called Forks Over Knives. And actually, we interviewed not only Dr. Esselstyn, we actually interviewed his daughter and his wife on the show prior, the week before. We were going to interview his son, but the schedule conflicts didn't allow us to interview Dr. Esselstyn's son. They're all in the health and wellness field, and we had a wonderful conversation about health and wellness and how to heal illnesses that have been cast upon us for generations, heart disease, diabetes, you name it. And so we had a wonderful conversation, so I want to thank him for that as well. And we just had a number of guests from all walks of life. You name it, authors. We interviewed people from all over the world. We had an African dignitary come in on one occasion, and actually he came when we had Alonzo Williams on. As a matter of fact, we had Alonzo Williams and Minister Fred Shaw on. So all three of them gathered into the studio, and we had a great time. Alonzo Williams, for those that don't know, he is the founding member of the World Class Wrecking Crew. For those that are lovers of hip-hop of the past, we're talking mid-'80s, late 80s, and he helped to further the careers of people that we all know, NWA, members of NWA, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Eazy-E, MC Ren, DJ Yella, the Arabian Prince, you name it. So Alonzo Williams, actually he came on our show twice. Once to talk about the movie Straight Outta Compton, which had just been released about a week prior, and then he came on again for with Reverend Shaw, who's wonderful. Actually, I'm going to get Reverend Shaw to come on the show, and he's another brilliant mind in the field of mental health or mental illness. And so we all gathered into the studio, and we had wonderful conversation. So just examples like that, people that are in the healing realm, or the realm of healing, which were my favorite topics to go into. Again, people from all over the world. South Africa, we had a British Olympian cyclist on, Mark Llewellyn, who is a wonderful guest. So yeah, we had a lot of people on, but the spiritual healers, or the people that were in the field of natural healing, were some of my favorite guests. We had Dr. O, who I used to work with back in, 2016. Actually, that was the last place that I worked at, under being in the health and wellness field as a massage therapist. So he was gracious enough to come on as well while he had his practice here in Los Angeles, specifically in Gardena, California, before he went back to his original practice in New Jersey. So he came on, and I always have respect for him as well. He encouraged me to move forward with Kennetic-Fit, and just have the confidence to know that I can do my own thing too. And so yeah, he was a wonderful guest. PhDs. We had Dr. Allison J. K, PhD, who's brilliant in the realm of spiritual healing and the healing arts, if you will. So just a plethora of people. Paula Vale, who's a Reiki master. Brenda Pierce, the empowered nurse from Canada. Just a number of people that we've had, and I've always loved having those kind of conversations about spirituality and just how we relate to each other as human beings. So many times we get caught up in the discrepancy between spirituality and religion, which segues into wrapping up this 3-part series, because in the last episode I discussed 2 topics or subjects that many people say that should never be brought up on a first date, or even a second or third date. One being politics and the other being religion. Now, why are these the 2 subjects, or why would they be some of the more controversial subject matters to discuss? Well, in the case of religion, And I'll preface by saying that I don't belong to a specific religious practice, or I don't practice a specific religion as we know them today. Catholicism, Christianity, Islamic practice, or what we call Muslim practices. Especially Christianity, because history tells us that Christianity has crippled, from a cultural position, religion has crippled us as African or Americanized Africans, or what I like to call colonialized Africans, because we've been colonialized. And a lot of it has been through religion or European Christianity. And over the years, I've seen and heard and witnessed people doing harmful things to others in the name of religion. I mean, slave masters owned slaves in the name of religion. I mean, we got whipped and hung in the name of religion, in the name of God, right? This is what history tells us, that there were European slave masters that truly believed that what they were doing was the calling of whatever God that they adhered to or believed in. So, I mean, think about it. In other countries on the other side of the world, some countries are having what they call holy wars. A holy war, where they're literally there's mass murder in the name of religion, because one country believes that their religion is better than the next country's religion. Or even within a country, there's some factions that believe that their stance on religion is better than this group's religion. Hell, right here in America, there are Christians that believe that their way is better than Catholicism. There's Catholics that believe that they're better, that their way is better than Christianity. Some people that practice Islamic faith believe that their way is better than Christianity and Catholicism. So there's so many different interpretations or divisions of religion, which is created by man, religion, because all people on the planet, all 7.5 billion of us, or 8 billion now, all people have spirits, but not all people or persons belong to a religious or have a religious background. There are some people that have that grew up in certain religious practices, Jehovah's Witness, Christianity, and again saw discrepancies, and they decided that this is not the spirit practice that I would want to be associated with. I remember we had Nazir Alim Bey on our show, and he told one of those stories of how he grew up in the Jehovah's Witness practice. I remember we used to go to, this was several years ago, when my elementary school years, early elementary school years, we used to go to this Kingdom Hall in Long Beach, California. And for whatever reason, it just never resonated with me like it seemed to resonate with everybody else, even in my young childhood mind. I I don't know, it just didn't appeal to me. It didn't appeal to my spirit or soul. And not that they were doing anything wrong, it just didn't resonate with me. Even as I grew up, I remember going to a church in high school. I think it was my senior year in high school with some friends of mine. And they this was in Los Angeles. There were a few celebs there. I remember it was brief. I met Ron Isley and Angela Winbush. This was in the 90s, early 90s actually. They were married at the time. And, but just the ambiance of church as we know it today, or as it's been presented to me all my life and other, quote, black people all over the country. As I got older, and especially when I got into natural health, did I realize that I don't need a religion to know that we are spirit beings. All of us are spirit beings, whether you belong to a religion or not. I mean, even atheists have a spirit because they're able to think and they're able to have a cognition that they don't want to adhere to the concept of what we know as God, which is what atheists believe. They believe that there is no such thing as God. But again, by default, just the mere fact that they've come to that conclusion means that they have something within them that created that conclusion or steered them in the direction to create that conclusion for themselves and for how they carve out their life journey. So for me, spirit is something that I always gravitated towards, especially once I had my first Reiki attunement in 2002. That alone let me know that there are many religious people that may not have the wholehearted vibration that I felt during my first Reiki attunement, and actually my third Reiki attunement as well, when I became a Reiki master practitioner through Judith Bilson, who's a Reiki master teacher. So I got to really kind of visually and physically see and feel what energy is. I mean, I literally got to feel it and see it for the first time. One day I'll have to take the time out to really explain the what I literally visually saw during my first attunement. But nonetheless, spirit is real, energy is real, and whether you belong to belong to a religious practice or not, know that we all have a spirit, which is why we're all connected, and we have different viewpoints on a multitude of matters within society. So for me, religion has always been something that I've always proceeded with caution with. I mean, I remember I saw a documentary about people in the church that abuse their wives. I mean, pulpit leaders that literally physically abuse their wives. Or if they're not physically abusing their wives, you have some religious leaders that are engaging in intimate activities with their congregation members. And again, there's nothing illegal about any of those, but certain practices or certain aspects of life that religion tells us to stay clear from, not committing adultery and not coveting other people's stuff, and be God-fearing. We're supposed to fear God instead of love God and embrace God, or whatever God means to you. Because at the end of the day, when we speak of God, or when I speak of God, I never refer to God as He. Most people here in America refer to God as He. He's going to do this, or He's going to do this. Or when referring to the age-old figure, or some people say deity, named Jesus Christ. I mean, we as African people knew nothing about Jesus until transatlantic slavery. We knew nothing about the Holy Bible until transatlantic slavery. Because, again, history tells us that African people, we've always been spirit people. We've always been spirit people. You can go back to the old ancient pharaohs. We've always been spirit people. Why you think people go to Africa so much and come back changed people? Hell, it's Caucasian people that love going to Africa and soaking up all the knowledge. Most of your archaeologists and paleontologists, they're Caucasian people studying us, studying African people. How many African archaeologists and paleontologists are going to Europe studying European culture and their history, their ancient history? How many African people are studying the Vikings, the Knights Templar and their history, the cave people? I mean, there is a great history, a great European history that most of us never learn about in school because we're too busy learning about the forefathers that came over here from Europe to escape from the monarchy of Europe or England, and they brought that energy here to this native land and came over here and slaughtered Native American tribes in the name of the God that they believed in, because they believed that that was the right thing to do so they can take over the land. When they brought their guns and created bloodshed towards the people that were already here, native people, darker people of the earth, native, quote, American, and even some African tribes that were already here. So this is what we study here in the Americas about the forefathers that were slave masters. Our first, 3 or 4 presidents, they were slave masters. I mean, it's no secret. George Washington, who was a Freemason, he was a slave master. He owned slaves. Thomas Jefferson, slave master. We all know about Thomas Jefferson fathering a multitude of black children. I mean, it's just what it is. But we've been taught that they were these great people that created the Declaration of Independence, which did not include us. Didn't include us. We the people did not include Native and African people. We the people was about European people and the few free black people that were free through their parents, because their parents were slaves all their lives. and they earned their freedom. But they were few far in between at that time. We're talking late 1700s, the start of the colonization of the states, or because George Washington, he was the first president under the Constitution, but there were 7 other leaders of the colonies under what was called the Articles of Confederation, which many people we don't learn about that in school. We learn about how great the slave masters were. That's what we learned, how great the slave masters were, and how torturous they were, and how we are supposed to love the quote forefathers that created documentation for all of us to live by. And a lot of it is in the name of religion. I mean, look at the $1 bill, or actually all of your cash currency that still exists. They all say, "In God we trust." I mean, along with other symbolisms on cash currency, which I won't get into. But nonetheless, religion controls a lot of societal areas of life, and the people that control religion help to control and mold and shape how society operates through religion. I mean, we see the one of the popes just passed away, so rest in paradise to Pope Benedict. But not even the Pope is infallible. The Pope is not infallible. The Pope, any Islamic leaders, they're human beings, just like us, just like me being a layperson. I'm a human being that makes errors in life, just like the Pope, just like any other religious leader. We all make errors. That's how we learn. No person on this planet is infallible or above. No person on this planet is above criticism or having an opinion that might differ from the next person, that might truly follow one person, one man or one woman. You know, a lot of people followed Mother Teresa, who was, she was presented to us as being the ultimate woman of faith. That's how she was presented to us, the ultimate woman of faith. Again, the narrative is that from a cultural position, religion has made us fearful of progression. Because religion, many religion, and I'm kind of I'm doing the best that I can to be as fair as possible, because all of us have the free will to believe as we will. But I do know that history has shown us that from a cultural position, European Christianity, as it's been force-fed to us through transatlantic slavery, has created more poverty for us than creating more success stories collectively for us as a culture, collectively. Because Hell, just here in Los Angeles, you can go towards downtown LA and you'll see a Christian church damn near on every other block. You'll see a small neighborhood church, because this person that opened this church believes that his way is, or his opinions of the religion is better than the next man that might have the church 10 minutes away. This is the division that is created by us as human beings. And we see what it's done to us as a culture. Many of us, and we pay tithings. We give our money, our hard-earned money that we go to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And then we, instead of saving 10%, we give 10% to the church. Well, what is the church doing for that individual? What is the church doing for anyone in the congregation? Other than what, maybe keeping the facility afloat, to create an environment for people to come and worship. But when we are constantly being told to fear God versus loving and embracing and looking at God as an ally versus someone or person to be feared, because many people again refer to God as He's going to do this. When we refer to God, all we're talking about is energy. Energy. Because you can't see God. And who told you that God was a He? That's what we've been taught. God is a He. He is going to do this. Well, energy is of both male and female. None of us can be here without both. Male and female, the union. The energetic union, the magnetism union of male and female. No person on this planet naturally can be created without having male and female bondage, or male and female compatibility, or male and female interaction, or male and female intimacy. So as we look at religion, we have to just think and just kind of ponder and consider, who are we really asking for our great fortunes? When we're calling out to, I say we're calling out to the gods, male and female, the gods and the goddesses, the mothers and the fathers, or the fathers and the mothers. There's some cultures that literally practice ripping the feminine spirit apart. We saw that they just murdered this one lady for wearing her attire a certain way over in Iraq or Iran, one of the countries in what we call the Middle East, which is a number of countries just north of Africa. Just north of Africa, just south of Asia, where darker people of the earth reside. But there are men that truly believe through their religious practice that women are inferior. That's what they truly believe. In the name of their religious practice, they truly believe that women are inferior. The very spirit beings that birthed them into the planet. And they believe, or they've been taught to believe, that women, the very people that birthed them into the planet, that they are inferior. That's what their religion has taught them. And there are many people here that believe the same way, that women are inferior. Again, this is the reason why the world, well, I'll just keep it to here in America, but the world as well. The world is shifting because of a spiritual change that's happening. Because there's been such the masculine energy permeating the entire planet for generations, we see what this male testosterone dominant energy has created for all of us, men and women. And much of it is in the name of religion or religious practice. As a man of African descent, I know that African culture never needed a holy Bible to know how to be righteous. We never needed a holy Bible to know how to be righteous. We've always been righteous throughout history. We never needed to be taught that through a holy Bible. We've always been spiritual. This is why we're such the target. We've been such the target for generations. Why? Why have we been such the target? And other darker cultures of the planet, why are we such the target? Well, there's a number of reasons why. One is because of our spiritual nature. Our spiritual nature, the purity of our spiritual nature. As an African culture, we've always been not domineering in our way of life. We've never been domineering. No. Maybe assertive in the way we operate, but we've always been giving to the entire planet. Always. Because we knew that in giving, because again, we understood energy and the reciprocation of energy. You get back what you give freely from the, quote, kindness of the heart. Not because your religion suggested it. No, it's because your heart and mind suggested it. So again, these are the things that have created much division within human society, or within American society, and many other societies all over the planet. And us being African descendants or Native American descendants, or just darker people of the earth, non-European specifically, we have to know that if you do belong, for those that do belong or practice a specific religion, that's great. I'm not here to change the mind, but I do know what I'm here to convey is that no person on this planet has to belong to a religion to do good in the world, or to be good in the world, or be good to others and have others be good to you. You treat people as you want to be treated. Sounds simple to me. There are golden rules, and there are principles, universal principles that will work for anyone and everyone that takes certain principles of life and applies them. Certain principles of life. One principle is the power of thought. Some people equate thought to prayer. And prayer can be looked upon as uh, prolonged thought or prolonged thought about a specific desire. I mean, that's what prayer is. You know, when people get on their knees and interlock their fingers and look up to the heavens and pray to God to give them something. Well, that's fine and that's great. But for me, I am as a spirit being. I just know that everyone can follow their own path, and in our own individual reality. No matter whether you practice Christianity, no matter whether you practice Catholicism, or even if you practice Buddhism or Hinduism, which are more spirit practices, not so much religious practices. But nonetheless, they are still labelings of knowing your spirit self. Doesn't matter what you call it. It's about learning and mastering yourself, your spirit self, learning how you can interact with energy, with the invisible, and know that energy is all around us, above us, under us, on the side of us, within us. It's all around us. And we can interact with it at will once we learn how to engage to the degree where you can communicate with the spirits at will. And there are energies that will do your bidding. So you can have your desires of life. So all of us can have our desires of life and be happy. Not having holy wars because I want to make you believe that my religion is better than your religion. I need to make you believe it by taking your life away because my religion says that my life is more valuable than yours. Religion. In closing, this is good. And this is pomegranate wine. Pomegranate. One of the great fruits of nature. The pomegranate, which the pomegranate, the liquid chemistry of the pomegranate almost mimics that of the blood within us. And this is great. It's actually one of my favorite wines here, pomegranate. Another one of my favorite wines is boysenberry. I love that. It's very smooth. So I like that. And I like this pomegranate wine too. It's great. But in closing, I know that there are many people that have many different beliefs. And I mean, this is the beauty of, again, living on this planet. No matter what our opinions are, at the end of the day, the beauty is that there are differences, and no matter what our opinions are of them, whether we accept them or reject them, we can at least have respect enough to know if people choose to practice a specific religion. When so many people never get the desires of their heart because they've been waiting for something to come down out of the sky to come and save them, or waiting for some spirit person to come out of the sky to save them, or thinking that quote God is some person hovering above us, looking down, looking down on us to make sure all 8 billion of us are living righteously. Energy doesn't operate that way. Quote, God doesn't operate that way. Energy is the best of both male and female. In African culture, we always look at things from a male-female perspective versus always looking at, quote, positive and negative. We look at male and female energy. Because again, male and female energies is how we got to 8 billion people on this planet. Most of us anyway. Some of us, there are human beings that are here through artificial means or tactics or other medical procedures that have to take place for a woman to give birth because they cannot conceive naturally, which is a whole nother subject in itself, because women, for example, 50 years ago, women had no problems conceiving, none whatsoever. You have women, our grandparents and great-grandparents, they would have 7, 8, 9, 10 children easily, back to back to back to back. Fast forward to today, where we have a great number of women here in America that have challenges conceiving. Where they have to take synthetic medication to stimulate their feminine hormones. What are we doing? What are we doing? This is how far away we've gotten from our spirit selves. Because women are not able to conceive naturally. Why is that? And many women never even consider to ask this question. Why am I not able to conceive? Why are so many women not able to conceive? Why are so many women saving their eggs? Why are so many women saving their eggs? Why are so many women entering into menopause earlier and earlier and earlier in life? Because naturally women are to conceive and give birth naturally well into their 50s and 60s. But in American society, again, many women are taken away from their spirit self due to multiple distractions of what femininity is supposed to be. And don't get me wrong, I love an attractive woman. But what does your spirit self look like? How beautiful is your spirit self? How beautiful is your spirit self? And for many women that can't conceive and have children naturally, now we got to ask some spirit questions now. What have you been doing throughout life that you cannot conceive the most precious thing that can be offered to us here on this planet? New life. Spirituality. These are the things that should be pondered. These are the topics that will be discussed in greater depth, because there are many people that have their opinions about religion and spirituality. My mom calls it religionality. Religionality. Those that truly believe in their religion and religious practices and will and won't budge for anyone, no matter what no matter what devious or inappropriate activity may occur within the religion, because we all know that there have been inappropriate activities within all religions, all of the great religions, and that includes the religion of Scientology as of recent years, which is another subject in itself as well, because Scientology, as it was created by L. Ron Hubbard, is not the same Scientology that we see now, that's under such the scrutiny. But nonetheless, the original concepts of Scientology are great, because again, they have to do with universal energy practices and certain healing practices when it comes to our emotional tone scale. And Scientology actually has a few practices or techniques that literally get rid of old, stuck emotional energy that's stored in many of us, actually most of us, where we have stuck energy that's just stuck. I can go as far as to say that people that have been so faithful to their religious practice, I mean, there are people, again, I can use Los Angeles as an example. In many black and brown neighborhoods, there are a multitude of churches where poor people go all of their lives, and they still end up poor all of their lives, in poverty all of their lives. But they go to church every Sunday and be faithful. I mean, abundance is everywhere. Abundance is everywhere. There is no such thing as lack, unless you develop the belief that there's lack in the world. There's nothing but abundance in the world. You know how big this planet is in comparison to us? We're like minute little specks of dust. We're like, you know, how we look at a cluster of ants from a hovering from a bird's eye view. Well, when you look at human beings from a bird's eye view, we're like specks. I mean, we're little minute little creatures on this giant planet, but we have wherewithal to create magical things for ourselves that are bigger than this planet. We have that potential. I mean, we literally have the potential to do things that most people or many people would say is unbelievable. But the unbelievable can become the believable when you know who you are as a spirit being. A spirit being. Not necessarily a religious being, but a spirit being. Because again, all of us have a spirit, whether you belong to a religion or not. Spirit. And all things happen in our lives based on how we think and feel. That's it, nothing else. How we think and feel, and what our dominating thoughts are. Because all of our thoughts create a chemistry, a physical chemistry. All of our thoughts create a physical chemistry in our bodies, in our brains, in our bodies, in our bloodstream. It creates a chemistry. All of our thoughts. And so once we get to know our spirit self, then and when you surround yourself by people that again, like Napoleon Hill called the mastermind, two or more people that think alike to create magic, the bigger picture. Because all parties in the equation want the same thing collectively, or what they call unity, or forming a union. A union. So when a union is created of spirit people, I mean, this has been proven. People have gotten together, spiritual healers have come together, brought their minds together to create spontaneous healing through thought. Not through medication, not through synthetic drugs. No, just through the simple power of thought. Thought. Your thoughts. And how you feel about your thoughts. And it's been documented over and over and over and over and over and over again that your thoughts and your feelings, your emotions, that's what creates life. Not synthetic medication. Not for daily life and usage. Maybe for emergency purposes. Yeah, they have their place. But from a spirit position, again, we've come here with everything that we've ever needed to succeed in this life, in this dimension, this third dimension here on this planet called Earth. Spirit. And throughout the ages, I mean, we're going back millions of years, the ages, because human beings have been on this planet for at least 3.5 million years on record. And you can argue the facts, but it's been proven through archaeologists and paleontologists. They've proven, especially now with the technology that we have, there's no denying it. I mean, DNA is real, and DNA lineage is real. And once you go back, you will know that humanity has been here for a long time. Starting with us. Starting with us. Us, darker people of the earth. So let's do the best we can to respect each other. Know that energy is real, spirit is real. Whether you belong to a religion or not. I remember we had, actually I'll see if I can get him as well, Jeremiah Kamara. Jeremiah Kamara had a famous book called Holy Lockdown. I'll try and I'll see if I can get him on as well. And there's a number of people that know how damaging religion has been for us culturally. There are many people, it's not just me saying this. There are many people that understand, maybe even, not even maybe, more than I do, about the psychological damage that religion has done to us as a culture. Specifically to us as a culture. And to other cultures too. Brown people too, especially of this region of the world here. Because Christianity was forced upon all people that they can force it on. All darker people was forced. And the poor white peasants as well. It was forced upon them too. So, get to know your spirit. Get to know your spirit, because spirit will always trump the religious practice, or it will spirit will always be superior to this to any religious practice. Spirit, because we all have one and we all can use it to our advantage. We all can use it to our advantage to make ourselves better every single day. Are there great teaching elements in the Holy Bible? Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. But for me as an African person, or a person of African descent, to believe that this is the only book that I'm supposed to read and believe that this is the only piece of literature that's supposed to tell me how to be good in the world. No, there are other documentations and other texts that predate the Holy Bible. I mean, you have the Emerald Tablets and the Ancient Book of the Dead and all these different texts. You have the old medical papyruses that tell all of the healing remedies to heal all the nations. Again, we're talking African culture and spirit culture, and how we've gotten so far away from it, which is the reason why there's so much chaos, or the perception of chaos. Get to know your spirit and raise your spirit vibration, and you will see that your vision of the outer world will begin to change. Because no one has to adhere to the concept of war. No one has to adhere to that. No one has to go to war for anyone. No one has to go and shoot guns in the name of protecting another person's or protecting a country, shooting and bombing, dropping bombs on other people's countries because we may not like the way they control their country and their way of life. Because here in America, we want all other countries to do things our way. Because the notion is that our way is the best way to live. The American way, the good old American way. Well, the good old American way has its flaws. And it can be made better. Again, once the spirit is made better. I mean, when you have a darkness in the spirit, it'll create dark energy, and that dark energy will create chaos. Chaos. So in order to do the total opposite, or to create the total opposite of chaos, which is harmony, in order to create harmony, there has to be a higher level of consciousness within the individual. Consciousness. Knowing that if you want good in the world, then you have to be the good yourself. You have to be the good. You have to do the good on yourself. Not demeaning others because they may have a different way of living, as long as there's no harm being done to other individuals. And we see time and time again that religion, or specific religion or religious practices, have done many inappropriate activities towards other human beings in the name of their God or their religion. Spirit, when you know your spirit self, you find the good within everyone, and know that male and female are complementary. I mean, not opposing, not opposites. No, we're complementary. But one needs the other. Complementary, not opposites, complementary. So when we get to that point of knowing that male or female is not inferior, but we can make ourselves genetically superior by way of our thoughts and our emotions and our actions within those thoughts and emotions, how we respond to our acts and how we respond to our thinking, how we respond to our own emotions, and how we interact with other people with our thoughts and our emotions. Because you're going to attract people that coincide or are parallel with your dominating thoughts. And if others don't parallel with that, then they will slowly but surely fade away. So others that think the same as you will come to the forefront in your experience of life. Spirit, the like mind. So let's try to be better, or not even let's try. Let's just be better, for the sake of all of us having our place in the world to do good and create something that all of us can utilize for the greater good of life. So I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your viewership. I will be back once again for another episode. Until then, I thank you so much. Until next time.